Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Wednesday, November 19th, just before 6 o'clock at night, and this is our daily recap video for the trades and holdings. And today, since it's Declaration Day, declarations as well, for the almost billion-dollar club. We called it the billion-dollar club until CONY fell out of there with just under $1 billion in assets under management. But they are 4 individual income covered call strategy funds from YieldMax, CONY for Coinbase, MSTY for what is now Strategy, NVDY for NVIDIA, and TSLY for Tesla. If you don't already follow me on X, please do, at ETF_Inspector1. I let you know when videos are coming out as well as reposting of announcements. And today we did get announcements on these Group 2 is what they are called. Group 2 declarations for distributions for this week. We're not going to go through all of them, but we will hit the 4 that are the funds that we cover. We'll start off big picture. How'd the day go? We had 2 up and 2 down. Coinbase down 1.72%. CONY actually underperforming, dropping worse than that. That's generally odd on a down day for the ETF to go worse than the underlying, but down 1.86%. MSTR, a terrible day, 9.82% drop. This has been an unbelievable 3 months, 45%. MSTY down just about as bad, 8.93%. So here we are on week after week, maybe 3-4 weeks in a row of not selling about half the calls because we're waiting for it to bounce, and it hasn't bounced. So we would have collected a whole lot more premium, well, twice as much premium if we had sold all the calls. But hindsight's 2020. If we would have bounced, we would never have been able to capture it. NVIDIA up 2.85% today. NVDY almost keeping up 2.77%. NVIDIA did announce earnings beat after hours, and let's see what they're doing. Another 4.3%. That's good news. And Tesla up 0.68%. TSLY actually outperforming, going up 0.93%. So 2 up, 2 down. Let's take a look at our spreadsheets. We'll start in alphabetical order with CONY and the trades. They had a trading credit on their options of just about $2 million, $1,996,000. What we are seeing is closing out of 270s and 272.50s, and then some more closing of 292.50s, 297.50s, 300s, 302.50s, and 305s. And then we are selling. They have now begun rolling things out to next week. They sold calls for the 28th at 262.50, 265, 267.50. That's it. And then buying the other side of those call spreads. So it was a successful roll. They won their trades, obviously, but that's because Coinbase keeps dropping. So it's not necessarily a good thing. We'll finish up with the distribution announcement. So our synthetics, we do see a change from yesterday's trades. When we downloaded the holdings, there's 1,200 less contracts at 390. So we have a 310 and a 390 expiring December 19th. They're both way underwater. Would have cost around $300 million at today's start, but they dropped another 1.72, so those will go deeper into the negative. They were only selling about 82% of the possible calls that they could. And then today we just watched, they closed those out for the most part. They actually even closed half of the 270s. They just didn't get an orange stripe because it was not a complete closeout. So we do still have 270s in play for Friday at 4.9% out of the money for the time being. These are purchased calls right here, so that's why we're not paying much attention to them. Everything else got closed out. That's why it's orange. These long calls, we don't care. They got closed out as well. But $942 million in assets under management. That's before today's trading, so that's going to go down as well unless people bought into the fund today. Yesterday, people sold out of the fund 3,925,000 shares, bringing the outstanding shares down to 194,425,000. The NAV at the start of the day, 485, trading resulted in a close around 477. Today, the 19th, is declaration day, and my guess was way off, but don't take off too soon because the next three were actually pretty impressive, one of them especially. So last week they paid about 8 cents. I made my guesstimate based off of how their trading went, since they traded so well last week. But obviously you're going to win your trades as the share price of the underlying tanks. So they got to take that into account, especially as far as how the what the percentage comes out to be. So I said 10 cents. They paid 6 cents, and that turned out to be a 70% surprise to the downside. So that one's embarrassing. Missed it by 4.5 cents. But all right, lesson learned. I don't think even when we have major trading wins as the share price tanks that we're going to pay out based on that. We're probably going to pay out based on the percentage. And you're probably thinking, well, I thought they have to pay out. Well, they also, the trading of the synthetics comes into account too. And when they lose the $300 million to close out this synthetic, that goes against making 10, 20, 30, 50 million in options, other options trades. So it all balances out. Lesson learned. Guesstimate next week is going to be closer to the IV. All right, keep moving on. MSTY, we've got a handful of trades, not quite as much as the other. MSTY brought in $2.7 million trading options today, closing out 215s and 220s and rolling to next week as well, selling 197.50s, 205s, and 207.50s. If you've been watching the video, though, these numbers just aren't making sense, so I don't even know what to do with it. It says they bought to close 8,000 contracts at 215. Here's the only problem. Oh, no, that one's not the problem. There's 31,000 there, so that's fine. It says they closed out 11,523 contracts at 220. There's only 5,000 contracts at 220, so I don't know how they did that. But who knows? I don't even know what the answer is there. All right, so I would say, okay, we can go ahead and call that closed out since they bought to close more than twice as many as they actually owned or had sold. Still have 210s and 215s for this week, 12.6 and 15.2% out of the money after MSTR's horrible day. Synthetics are in a world of hurt. We saw a change in the January 16th 255s based off yesterday's trading. This number dropped by 3,000 contracts. So we have 270s for 12/19, December 19th, and then 255s, 270s, and 300s for January 16th, all deep in the negative. And once we get the download on these, obviously the value of the calls are going to plummet, and the cost to close out the short puts are going to go much higher. So we're going to be way negative, probably nearly $1 billion in negative synthetic value. So like we said, they did not have 100% of the possible calls sold, only 55%, which would be great if it would ever go up, but since it keeps going down, it would have been better off to have sold them. 2.2 billion in assets under management. Drop yesterday, people sold out of the fund 2,725,000 shares, bringing them under 270 million total. $8.29 was the NAV, or the value of a share at the start of the day. 7:55 closing or thereabouts. Today was declaration day, and I'm proud of this one. Look at this. My guesstimate was 14.70 cents. They announced 14.75 cents. Missed it by 0.0005. That's got to be the closest one I've ever had. 0.34% off. So that makes up for my 70% off on CONY. All right, so they did come out over 100. I don't know that it was necessarily, it wasn't announced that over 100 because that's going to take into account the current, well, is that based off the, let's see, is this based off the NAV or that's based off of the closing price. So obviously when the share price dropped by 8%, that's going to make that a larger annualized yield. So I think it was just under 100 at the time of the announcement. Okay, NVDY, we got a closeout of a 1,500 contracts on the synthetic 200, and then close out of the 1,500 options traded off of that. That actually cost $2.1 million. And so when we turn the page, look at the holdings, we've got our synthetics, 195s and 200s for January 16th. We did see, based off of yesterday's trade, a decrease in these contracts by 450. And then we just said, would we trade? We closed out 1,500 of the 200s. So tomorrow we will see this number down by 1,500. And since these are underwater, it costs more to close out the puts than you receive for the selling of the calls. So that's why it resulted in a negative trade when we closed those out. Both are underwater. And NVIDIA was up today and is going up more in the after hours. So these will only be up by the amount of the regular market trading time in tomorrow's video. So they won't take into account the after hours trading. So we can expect probably 2 good days in a row of these increasing. Something's actually, I just noticed I got a number off. So this, the 195's possibly going to end up getting their head above water by the end of tomorrow. We've got calls sold at 192.50, 195, 197.50, and 200, all expiring Friday, 3.2 through 7.2% out of the money. Like we said, we got a feeling we're going to end up having to close those out tomorrow, as currently the share price is sitting around 195. So we're going to pay some money to close those out. Maybe they might just wait and see. 1.6 billion in assets under management. People sold out of the fund yesterday, 325,000 shares, bringing it to a little under 111 million. NAV at the start, 1479, closing around 1518. We should open higher tomorrow and move up. Today was Declaration Day, and another close guesstimate here. I guessed 14.5 cents on my Saturday video, 14.5 cents. They announced 14.97 cents, so I missed it by 0.0047 cents, or just under a half of a cent, which is pi 3.14% off. Surprise to the upside, so I'm sure you're happy to get another 3% higher than my guesstimate. Paying very close to the 30-day IV of the fund. I haven't said it yet, so I'll say it now. Today was Declaration Day. Tomorrow is X Day. Friday is payday. Finally, we have TSLY, and this part's quick. As you see, nothing for the 19th, no trades. So we can just switch over to the holdings. The synthetics, we see a change of 429 contract reduction from the January 16th 450s based off of yesterday's trade. There's also January 16th 470s. Both are underwater. Looking at $165-ish million cost to close those out. TSLY was up slightly today, so those will move towards the positive, but not get anywhere actually close to it. They are selling 100% of the possible calls currently. And expiring Friday, we have 412.50, 415s, 417.50s, 420s, 422.50s, 425s, and 430s, anywhere from 2.1 to 6.4% out of the money. Not real super heavy in any one spot as far as each of those strikes. There's 1.1 billion in assets under management. 75,000 shares dropped off the outstanding yesterday, people selling out, bringing it to 157,525,000. NAV at the start of the day, $7.50, closing around $7.57. And today's announcement was 0.0887 or 8.87 cents. I had guessed 9.05. So again, very close, missed it by 0.0018 cents or 2%. So I had 3 very close guesstimates with one not even remotely close. Okay, that is all I have for you. So I got a dad joke before we get out of here. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate all the support, likes, shares, and comments. And so here's your dad joke before we go. Which bear is the most condescending? A panda. Sounds kind of dumb. All right, thank you. Catch you in the next video. Good night.